Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Eric here, and I thought I'd make a little update into what I've been working on since my last video. I know it's been a while, and I apologize. It's just that I've been working and kind of busy recently, and those last few videos took a lot of effort and time to make, and uh, yeah, I've been a little too busy to make videos like that recently, so I thought I'd make some shorter form content. But this is what I've been working on recently, the High Elves, which I know it's been a year since I posted my progress on these guys, but I finished 8 so far, and I'm really happy with how they've turned out. It was a good bit of work. Um, I think I put a bit more effort into like the focal points, like the faces, the the shields, and the gems. And let me tell you, these guys have a ton of detail. Like the fact that these came with the starter set, someone new to painting, they're gonna have a hard time making them look like the box art. Let me tell you, because each one of these guys basically has 11 different materials if you want them to look kind of close to the box. So there's the white, the blue, the silver, the gold, the skin, the boots, gloves, the wood, the red of the dragon, and the sea, kind of teal, the silver, the gold, the gemstones, the little seaweed hanging off the poles, and there's fancy trim uh, hanging off of the spears, and just getting a really crisp, clean edge around each dragon emblem and each wave emblem and all the little wave emblems on their little armaments. That was a lot of work. I love the way these gemstones turned out. Hopefully you can see it. And let me get the spears. For the spears, I want a kind of a non-metallic metal effect, but with metallics. So I kind of glazed a blue wash over certain patches of the spear to kind of imply like reflections. I think that turned out pretty well. Still mastering it though, I think. Yeah, and some things I tried out for these models was these new the AK third gen paints. These are really nice. Uh, I know someone I'm learning from. He was a former heavy metal painter for like 9 years. He recommends these, so I think they have really good coverage, and I really like the dropper bottle. It's really solid, and the white's really nice too. Also, I tried some of these new, like, I don't know if they're new, but Vallejo metal colors. I use this as a base coat for all the silver. These are really good for a base coat. You just basically need like one coat of it, and it's really thin. You don't need to thin it, but it's kind of not great to use just for like trying to paint small details. It's good for like a large base coat over a large surface. Yeah, I painted these in small batches of about 3 to 4 at a time. Just more than that, I think I'd go crazy and stop working on it. So I find that working on a batch small enough where you can finish it in a relatively decent amount of time, it's very encouraging. It's very discouraging to like spend weeks on like a batch and not be able to finish. So a big problem I had with these guys was, so there's a lot of white and there's a lot of silver, and silver usually goes better over a black undercoat, and white usually is easier to work with over a white undercoat. So do you go with a white undercoat or a black undercoat? So for these, I went over I first tried Gray Sear, the spray, and trying to get. I wanted a really pure white, almost just like a straight up, slightly off white. So trying to get that kind of color over Gray Sear was like pretty difficult. It took like 5 layers, and I just wasn't having it. So I tried. I resprayed the rest of the guys with the white Scar, and that worked pretty well. Painting the white over such a light primer was really easy, and then I just needed to paint like black over all the armor and everything that was darker. So I used Black Templar for that. Maybe in the future I'll use just the AK 3rd Gen black paint. But yeah, it really made the white way easier to work over just a white primer. It's just everything else you kind of becomes a little more effort over a white undercoat, at least for me. Yeah, I'm really just happy with how these turned out, and I think at the end of the day, I just had to start cutting some corners just because they're taking so long. Just I didn't paint like the wood grain on the spear shaft, and I gave basically everything just one highlight as opposed to two. I think you save a ton of time if you just kind of have an objective or a goal, and you just say, well, these are just rank and file, just like the second or third rank in a unit. They don't need like to look amazing, even though I think these look really good. And I'm really happy with how I painted the eyes. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I just painted the skin and then got some really thin down black and put it in the eyes and put it in the recesses, and then got some white and then painted the white like a white stripe, and then just took a little bit of black and then put a little dot in the center of the white. And then the teeth is just white over black. And when painting teeth, I think it looks a lot better to just paint like a stripe of white over like a dark color and not just like little dots with black in between the dots, because that just looks bad. Unless it's like an oafish kind of character, then it looks okay. But for these kind of guys, I just used a white stripe. There's still a little more I want to do with the basing. I want to put some static grass and clump foliage on it, and then then I think these guys are done. Oh, also with the metallics, I'm used to working more with like gunmetal type models, and or just models that the only metallic is like gunmetal, so it's kind of dark and dingy anyway. So if you put a wash over it, it kind of changes the properties of the metallics. And these guys are very shiny, metals and armor and stuff. So just putting on any kind of wash really kind of dulls it down a little bit. So I'm not super happy with that, but I've come to accept it. Just, I mean, it is what it is. It's just a simple method I think is effective, even if it dulls the armor down a little more than I'd like. But I think that turned out well. And yeah, and for the armor, I used like a blue, the Drakenhof Nightshade, thinned down with a little Lamy in medium, and then pure Drakenhof Nightshade in the recesses, just to give it that kind of bluish tinge. So yeah, these were pretty pretty detailed. Just even on the back, they have the hair, the quivers, the bows, the fletchings, the runes, the little wave patterns on their coats, all the white, all the silver, all the gold, all the wood and the gold trim, and all these little strings of seaweed were really annoying to highlight because they have like a million edges. But I just, took a really small brush and just picked out all those edges because, yeah, that's just just because that's me, I guess. Oh, and for this unit, I started using a wet palette, and I'm kind of ashamed I haven't used a wet palette sooner than this. It was pretty amazing. I used one a long time ago, but it was one of those store bought. It's one of those store bought ones, the big art ones you get at Michael's, and I thought I just didn't like having such a big sponge that you couldn't replace easily, and it got all nasty and dirty and gross, so I just stopped using it. But then I just made one with this little container I bought at a like a Hobby Lobby. It was like $1.49, really, literally, and then you can just open it up, get some paper towels and some parchment paper, and then just wet it, and then it works really well. It's super cheap, and it worked super well in these, and it really extends the working time of your paint by like 10 to 20 times. It's kind of crazy. Like I just used to use parchment or palette paper before this. What was I thinking? But yeah, I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. So many little tiny details, and these are just basically the core troops. They're not even the elite kind of like sword master guys. Those have far fewer details. Well, I think this is about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my little rant on how I made these guys, or how I painted them. So, if you like my content, please like and subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you. Take care. Bye.